Hey guys, how's it going? Dudey, Ryan back with another video. Today, I received an email from Ryan Palmer. Now, for those of you that don't remember, last year I did a video all about deep sea diving and all of the horror stories at the bottom of the ocean, and they were supplied to me by a viewer, Ryan Palmer. He goes by the name of Spicy Gamer on Twitch. And basically, he is an oil rig deep sea diver, one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. And oh my goodness, does he have some amazing stories. You guys absolutely loved the video that I did from his stories last year. Go and check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, today I've got some fresh stories from Ryan. So thank you so much, dude. You know I really appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to write all these down for me. I hope I do them justice today in this video. If you like this kind of content, please hit that like button, share, subscribe. I'm really close to 100k, all that good jazz. But yes, here we go, guys. You know that one of my biggest fears is the bottom of that fucking ocean. The black abyss, sea monsters, all that scary stuff. And just the actual diving job itself is incredibly perilous. So here we go, guys, buckle up. I think we have 3 stories I'm gonna read to you today. So he titles it Deep Sea Diving / Commercial Diving Horror Stories. Some of these stories are from co-workers and friends, and some are my own personal experiences. Here are some terms to cover to clear up any confusion. An umbilical is your physical lifeline to the surface, consisting of various cables such as hot water, lighting, gas, and video / audio communication to the surface. ROV is remote operated vehicle. In simple terms, it is used much like a drone, however underwater. Here we go. Now that's cleared up. First story. This took place when I was around 2 months into my 3-month training to become a deep sea diver, and we had finished majority of the classroom work and was more focused on getting bottom time now. We had already learnt about the dangers of different sickness that can occur when reaching the underwater job, one of these being nitrogen narcosis, which is caused by breathing in gases at higher pressures, altering the consciousness of the diver. This is a usual occurrence when almost reaching the bottom. However, there are different severities to this, ranging from slight disorientation to complete confusion and not knowing the difference between up and down. This occurred around 11 PM when we had just begun our night dive training. One of my friends, who we can call Charlie, was the first diver in, and it was his first night dive. The goal was simple for him: to safely reach the job site and nut and bolt some basic pipeline replacement parts together for practice. The job was around 45 meters deep, and at the time I was a standby diver who sits on the surface and used in the event of an emergency. The night begins, and I remember seeing more white than colour in his eyes once placing the helmet on him, which is usual for a diver in training, especially in the pitch black and freezing cold water. Charlie slowly enters the water and starts his descent. Around 15 meters, I remember checking in with him, and he seemed nervous but remaining calm, trying to get the job done. However, he had begun panicking slowly and repeatedly saying, "Get me out, get me out," which of course was worrying everyone on the boat. Trying to calm him down, he attempted to swim back up, panicking and disorientated. My instructor at the time calls to me to head down to make sure he can find his feet. At this point, Charlie is claiming to be ascending to the surface. However, I am heading down and there is no sign of him, just his umbilical going deeper and deeper into the darkness. My supervisor quickly realises he has a severe case of nitrogen narcosis and has begun swimming down in confusion. He is not replying to comms and is breathing incredibly heavily and panicking. I'm trying my hardest to pull his umbilical up, but the force of him swimming down is too much, and he keeps descending further and further and further. Luckily for Charlie, the place we were diving only reaches 51.5 meters, and he managed to hit the bottom, and so did I. Managing to bring him back to consciousness, he realises the situation, and we both begin a safe ascent to the surface. This could have gone very wrong, and surpassing 55 meters could have been life-threatening and potentially leading to death. That day he quit the course, and to this day he is completely horrified of the ocean and the effects it can cause on you. He suffered no severe brain injuries, however this could have been a completely different scenario.
Number 2. Mysterious creature underwater. A month after getting qualified as a diver, I began working for a fish farm company in the Shetland Islands, performing basic underwater maintenance and repairs when required. It consisted of 3 AM to 3 PM shifts 6 days per week. so for the first 5 or 6 hours the visibility was pretty much zero. This was also the same job that I encountered the squid-like creature from the last video. The task I was set with was to reach the bottom of the farm, where there was a fracture on a steel frame and needed urgent repairs. I remember reaching the job safe and sound and being handed down my tools to weld up the crack and complete the required repairs. Around 2 hours roughly into my dive, I was around 19 meters below the surface, and we were around 2 miles offshore. I remember beginning to weld, and the light illuminated a huge figure of something completely out of the ordinary, and so I asked if we had just placed the ROV or something of that sort in the water, creating the outline. However, the only person needed for this job was me. Clearly scaring the hell out of me, I began moving closer to the farm for safety and could almost feel a huge amount of water being pushed towards me. Panicking, I dropped my tools and began looking around me. After about 2 minutes thinking it was my imagination, I saw it. Imagine a black outline of something 3 to 4 times bigger than a bus glide off into the distance. This completely paralysed me, and due to this, my co-workers were trying to communicate with me, but I was in complete shock that I couldn't reply. After about 10 minutes of trying to get a grip of myself, I snapped out of it as something sharply grabbed my shoulder, and in panic, I immediately jolted the opposite direction and turned around to see the comforting light from a standby diver coming down to make sure I was okay. Being completely relieved, I said I need to ascend and explain the situation. After talking to my co-workers, this is a regular occurrence for them, and many divers have quit the contract early due to the unknown creature lurking around them. This threw me off diving that day, however I managed to get a grip and get back to it the next day. We are all still unsure on what it could be due to the immense size of it. I never saw the figure again. I have reached out to the company recently to ask for the footage from my diving helmet that day and will update you on their reply. Story number 3. Fatal diving accident. In 2019 I was working for an offshore diving company who were contracted out in the Philippines. On this job we had 3 working divers, 2 supervisors and an inspection officer on board. The job was to remove a broken piece of pipeline that was burst and safely replace it with a new piece of pipeline. Now the owner of this company had recently employed a member of his family who had 2 months' experience working as a diver and was very inexperienced when it came to industrial repairs. However, since he had family already in the diving industry, he was able to land a high-paying job offshore, which would usually take a good few years of hard work to get a break like that. This job had a lot of risk, and multiple serious injuries and deaths have occurred due to the immense suction that a pipeline holds. For example, this is a video of what a tiny hole in a pipeline can cause. Around 2 days into the 2 weeks we were required offshore, it is the first dive that Dave, being the inexperienced diver, was required for. His job was to follow instruction from our supervisor to test the old piece of equipment to work out where the issues was and when to begin removal. This consisted of turning valves to relieve pressure from the pipeline. However, due to miscommunication, the wrong valve was used, which caused a pressure test to begin. Now, before the supervisor had time to realise what had started to happen, the area which had began to be eaten away by sea life and rust had flew open, causing an immense suction of water, and anything within a 15-metre radius had been sucked in. That unfortunately being the diver, whose arm was sucked in at such immense speed, the supervisor was able to completely shut off all valves at once, and the standby diver, being one of my close friends, began a rescue dive and was able to recover Dave. However, due to the suction, his arm had been completely torn, and due to the time it had taken to reach the surface, he had died from his injuries before reaching medical attention. This was very shocking for everyone aboard the vessel, including myself, and shows the true dangers of working in the manual sector of the oil industry, especially diving.
So there we go, guys. What do we think of those deep sea horror stories? Please do let me know. Are you interested in diving? Do you dive yourself? Let me know. If you've got any stories, email me, dudeyrhino@gmail.com. Ryan, thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate it. I love these stories. and I'm sure the people at home love them as well because the last video did so well. So thank you, dude. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out my NFTs. They're Crypt Creatures on Atomic Hub. Check out my podcast, and as you possibly maybe my clothing as well. Check out all that good stuff. It's all linked down below. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you very soon. Sweet one. Geese.